Welcome agents, we are only 8 days away, so next Thursday, from me making this video, from learning something new about the Division 2 in the November dev blog. Now today I want to talk about what could be coming, and that's new PvP information. As always, please leave your comments below, and if we can hit 200 likes again, that would be awesome. If you're interested in some Eat, Sleep, Slay, Repeat merch, a link will be in the description below, and with that said, let's get into this. Now, I think the reason PvP information will be coming in the dev blog next Thursday is probably more because I can't wait any longer than actually what we could be getting. But at this point, it's really anyone's guess at what the devs could cover. We know that we are not getting any news about the Dark Zone, as Julian Garrity confirmed in an interview at Ubisoft 2018 in Tokyo that this will be coming in December. So, it's possible that we don't learn anything about PvP until after the Dark Zone has been covered, as this will be a good segue, but it would also make sense to confirm PvP mechanics, modes, etc. prior to knowing anything about the Dark Zone, and the dev blog next week will be the last chance. So with that in mind, let's assume we are getting some much needed PvP information next week. What PvP info would you agents like to know? Let me know in the comments below, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video talking about your comments. Okay, so PvP info. Let's talk about what PvP info I want to know about. First off, I want to know about the PvP modes we are getting at launch, because I am really concerned that we are going to get very little compared to what we have in the Division right now. There's a couple of reasons for that. When the Division first released, we had very little in the way of PvP. I think we only had the Dark Zone, if I can remember correctly. Of course, we got the main portion of PvP at a later stage, with the introduction of Last Standing and Skirmish. Secondly, the devs have not spoke about PvP whatsoever at this point. Not even a little inkling as to what we might get or what might be included, and that's because they are focused mainly on PvE and the endgame, so it's likely PvP has taken a back seat to this. Just with these 2 points in mind, I'm concerned PvP is not going to get the attention it needs, so it's likely we are not going to get any real game modes at launch, and we'll probably just have the Dark Zone, like the Division. So what I'd really love is for the devs to confirm some PvP game modes in the Division 2. Now, I'm not greedy, and actually I don't want to know all of them. I'd hate to know about every single game mode before the games even come out. But just the confirmation this is coming at launch, and maybe just one confirmed game mode, would satisfy my craving for some PvP information. What PvP mode would you like to see in the Division 2, whether it be something new, or maybe you want Last Stand or Skirmish to return at launch? For me, I would really love to see Skirmish return at launch, but I would like to see some changes. I would increase the amount of kills needed to end the match. It's currently at 30 in the Division, which can be okay when you have a really slow game, but generally the matches are over very quickly, and I feel that you can't really get into much of a rhythm before the game ends. So I would increase the kills to 50, especially when you consider that the time to kill in the Division 2 is meant to be lower. So you should be down in agents a lot quicker. Oh, and if the devs have listened to any of the feedback, there shouldn't be any cheesy 9 live Nomad type gear sets in the game to keep you alive. Of course, 50 might be too low if the time to kill is really that low, but you get the point I'm making. Aside from that, I like the 4v4 mode, but maybe they could have both a casual and competitive mode for Skirmish, where you'd have a 4 versus 4 in competitive and 6v6 in casual, very much like Destiny. If not, you could also have a solo, duo or quad queue option for Skirmish, so there are no surprises when you enter a Skirmish match. I must have lost count with the amount of times I've joined a Skirmish match late and immediately got spawn trapped by a squad of 4 who begin to emote over my dead body. The different queue types will stop this from happening in many ways. Aside from that, if the devs want to confirm a new game mode, that would be awesome, so if you're listening, take notes. We want new game modes, and we want some PvP information in the November dev blog. Okay, moving on from game modes, and I really want to know exactly how PvP will play in the Division 2. Will it actually be cover-based, or will it be like the Division and not cover-based whatsoever? This is important to most, I imagine, including myself, because this will determine what sort of PvP mechanics we can expect. Now, I've said before that PvP in the Division is a mess, certainly at this point, but I'd rather have that, minus the classified gear sets of course, than a boring cover-based type of PvP, and this again is something I am worried about within the Division 2. Having played the PvE demo for the Division 2, it is very apparent that if you break cover, your agent seems to take far more damage than if they are shot whilst in cover. And this is something a lot of people have suggested happen within the Division 2, and I do agree to some extent, but what I don't want to see is the damage scale so high that you simply cannot break cover to perform a flank, for example. This needs to be done in a way that you are punished for being out of cover, but not to the point that you never leave cover, because this will just create a boring stalemate PvP, especially in group play. Imagine this. You're in a duo server for the DZ, for example, or any other type of PvP game mode, and you take cover to fight other agents, and whilst you're in cover, you down one of the other agents. Now normally, you then rush as a duo, but if the damage is not scaled properly, you could find that both you and your group member get melted. So what happens? Well, you stay in cover for fear of getting melted, and the other person is revived by their team member. This is what I don't want from the Division 2. The Division 2 needs a combination of both worlds. We need cover-based and non-cover-based mechanics within PvP. So it would be great for the devs to show some actual PvP gameplay, even if it's just 10 seconds. I'd take 3 seconds at this point, so we can see how different or how the same it will be. We could take a lot from just 10 seconds, and we could probably take a lot from just 3 seconds, and that's all I really want at this point. If not, then maybe a breakdown of how the PvP will work with numbers, for example, like you take 10% more damage whilst out of cover in all PvP situations. At this point, I'm just stretching for any information about PvP within the Division 2, really. Okay, so lastly, I want to know how they plan to make PvP fair and balanced. And this is a big one, because this is one of the main reasons that people no longer play PvP within the Division, at least. Will there be PvP specific brand sets, or will we have another 3 years of the PvP and PvE balancing act? I really hope not. So if the devs could confirm how they plan to balance PvP, that would be awesome. I would take that from the November dev blog. The way I see it is this: don't overcomplicate it. The problem with the Division PvP is the gear sets and the overcomplicated combinations of gear that would be OP in PvP but not in PvE, and then it gets nerfed, which would affect PvE, blah blah blah. What they need to do is balance PvP separately to PvE, and that way both player bases will be happy. And if that means we have PvP specific gear sets and PvE specific gear sets, then I'd be happy with that. Of course, I don't want it to be simplified to the point where it becomes boring, but I don't want the devs to do so much that they can't actually balance the PvP and we end up with crazy glitches or overly powerful cheesy gear. I'm sure PvP, aside from the Dark Zone, will be normalised, just like in the Division, so balance the gear and everyone will be on the same footing, and that will create balance. And with that, the skill gap I certainly want. Let's hope the devs will learn from the Division and balance the PvP, or I'm pretty sure there will be a mass exodus as soon as people realise just how unbalanced it is. There you go, agents. I do hope you enjoyed this video as always. I really encourage you to leave a comment down below. PvP for me is what I play the Division for, and it's one of the only reasons I still play the Division, because whilst it is a mess at this moment in time and almost everyone is running Nomad, it's pretty much the new striker, I just love PvP, and no other game provides the experience that the Division does, even with PvP, from what I've played. So for me, PvP is really important within the Division 2. I do know, as I said, that they are going to be looking at PvE predominantly, and that's fine, because I would expect that most people, the majority of the player base, will still be PvE players or focus when the game is released in March of next year. So that makes sense. One of the main reasons that the game failed was due to the PvE and the endgame. So it makes sense that they focus on that first and then focus on PvP later. I just hope they haven't abandoned PvP altogether, because I would say that the majority of the people I still play with play the game for PvP and not for PvE. So I will be honest, it's been quite a balancing act doing YouTube videos, balancing a full-time job at the same time, so uploading regular content for you agents, and then spending time with my fiance. So if you could leave a pity like and pity comment on the video, I would truly appreciate it. Make sure you turn on the bell notifications, because that way, you know, you'll never miss a video of mine. It's next to the subscribe button down below. I'm sure you guys already know where it is. And if you haven't shared any of my videos before, again, I would really appreciate the support. So if you could do that, even for this just one video, that would be awesome. Well, all of that said, I am really thankful and grateful to every one of you, and I wouldn't change what I do for the world. March 12th could not come soon enough. Until the next one, agents, Epic out.